Okay, so we're talking about adding, subtracting fractions, so rational numbers, and we'll start out with like denominators. We've seen these before. Like denominators, I know you like that better, right? So maybe that's, I don't know, it's a lame joke. Find each sum or difference, simplify if possible. So here we have this common denominator, so it's going to be eighths. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4/8 though does need simplified. You guys know that if it has a common factor, you have to simplify. So in this case, 4/8 both divided, 4 and 8 both divided by divisible by 4 rather. Think back to that cake method thing. If I put like 4 and 8 in the cake, I can take out a 2, right? So I get 2 and 4. I can still take out another 2, so I get 1 and 2, 1/2. Notice that 4/8 becomes 1/2. I kind of like that. Here, common denominator is actually x, right? It can be a variable. So x, 9 minus 7 is 2, so 2 over x. Yeah, throw in the variables, throw in the fun there. I know you like that. Pause, go ahead and head into class kick, and you get to work a couple. So here, you've already hopefully worked these, and again, I've been watching you class kick there. Common denominator here is 7. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 over 7 cannot be reduced. That's the answer. Common denominator here is k. 2 plus 3 is 5. So 5 over k. If that was too quick, rewind or raise your hand and ask. I'll be over to give you a hand. Keep watching for another example from me. Alright, so unlike denominators, right? So non-common denominators. We need to find a common denominator. And again, I don't care what method you pick. You can pick the least common denominator. You can pick, just multiply the two numbers and come up with it. It's entirely up to you how you do that. So right here, you can see their example. They end up using 40/8. I'm going to, myself instead, I'm going to pick the least common denominator. I know 8 and 6 go into 24. So I'm going to have something over 24 minus something over 24. Now, making those common denominators, 8 goes into 24 3 times. 3 times 1 is 3. 6 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Now we have a common denominator of 24. 3 minus 20, that's like 3 plus a negative 20, right? Well, you subtract them. Difference is 17. There's more negatives, so negative 17 24ths cannot be reduced. So notice using that least common denominator cuts down on the likelihood, or maybe it cuts down on the need to reduce as much. So these guys over here, 8 and 6, we just discussed. Common denominator of 24 is a nice thing, right? 24. So 8 goes into 24 3 times. 3 times 1 is again 3. 6 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20, so that's 20x. And we subtract. Now the great thing is you can't really do anything with these two, so it stays as 3 minus 20x all over 24. Technically the answer given here is not correct because there's a common factor to be factored out, but I would accept this answer since we haven't learned how to reduce that stuff yet. But these are just kind of fun to think about. We'll be doing a lot of algebra stuff soon enough. These are kind of fun to throw in there for you to think about. Pause, go into class kick, you work a couple. This time I'm not having you work the B there. That was just kind of a fun example for us. Just work this one. So we have common denominator, hopefully you can see, is going to be 8, right? 8 and 4 both go into 8. First one's already an eighth, so I can leave it alone. I don't have to multiply. I mean, if you think about it, 8 goes into 8 one time. 1 times 7 is 7, you know. But 4 goes into 8 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. So my common denominator is going to be 8. Now, our rules for addition and subtraction, negative 7 plus 6, well, they're different signs, so you're going to subtract them. Difference is 1. They're more negative, so it's negative 1/8. That can't be reduced, so you're done. Alrighty. Again, we're skipping that part B there. I just kind of threw that other one in for the fun of it. Continue for more examples from me. Okay, so once again, non-common denominators. If you want a way to find them, let me show you this here. 8 and 12. Now, we had that cake method thing before. You probably learned last year. 8 and 12, right? Greatest, at least common denominator. Well, you factor them out first. They're both even, so I can use a 2, so I get 4 and 6, because it's like division, right? 8 divided by 2 is 4. 12 divided by 6, or divided by 2 is 6. Still even, so I can take out another 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now they're done. So to find the least common denominator, you multiply around the corner. In other words, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. So we can use 24ths as our common denominator. Again, this stuff I know you learned last year. If you need me to sit down and go through it with you because you weren't sure, I can do that too. No big deal. Alrighty, so making like fractions. 8 goes into 24 3 times. 3 times that 3 up there is 9. 12 goes into 24 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. So now I have 24ths, because I have a common denominator. 9 plus 10 is 19. That cannot be reduced, so you're done. 19 24ths. Might want to back up, rewind that one again if you need to, or ask me, whatever. Be there. I'll take care of you. Time for you to pause, go into class kick, and work a couple. Alrighty, so here we have these two. 8 and 6. I think we've already established the common denominator there is going to be 24, right? A little subtraction going on. Notice I kind of copy everything else down in advance, so I really can't mess that up. Then I just go through and make my like fractions. 8 goes into 24 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. 6 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Now, we're subtracting, right? Smaller minus bigger. There's lots of ways to think about it. You can make it into, plus a negative if you like. You can just realize you're subtracting, and you're going to get a negative 5, however you come up with that. So, negative 5 is the answer to the top. The 24 comes along for the ride. Negative 5 24ths. 12 and 9, we need to find a common denominator. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to put 12 and 9 into my cake. They're not even, so I can't take out a 2, but they are both divisible by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. It's a 4, I promise. 9 divided by 3 is 3. I can't take anything else out, so 3 times 4 is 12, times 3 is 36. So I'm going to use 36th for my common denominator. And again, if you need me to sit down and do that with you, I can, not a big deal. So, here we go. We have 12 goes into 36 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. 9 goes into 36 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. So that 36 comes down. 21 minus 20 is 1. 36th, no need to reduce. Done with that one. Oops, nope. Continue for more examples from me. All right, last set of examples here. Adding mixed numbers. Love that stuff. It says here, Allie hiked 2/10 of a mile and another 1 3/4 mile to his campsite. Must be Ali. How far did he hike in all? So in other words, 2 1/10 plus 1 3/4. So I'm going to get this out of the way, and let's take a look at how to do that. So I've got 2 1/10 plus 1 3/4. Now here's what I like to do. I like to make them improper first. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 1 is 21/10. Okay? 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7/4. Okay, that's a 7, I promise. Now then, we are ready to make, so they don't have the same denominator, right? So we're ready to make common denominators. Both these guys go into 20, right? You can make them into 42, it doesn't matter. But 20 is the smallest one I can think of they both go into. So something out of 20 plus something else. Hang on. Something else out of 20. 10 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 21 is 42. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 7 is 35. Okay, are you with me? So, we add them together. 20ths, 42 plus 35 is 77/20. Now, if you want to make that improper, or make it proper into 3 and 1/17, or 3 and 17/20, you can. I'm okay with leaving it like this for most algebra. I mean, this one you probably should because it's miles. 77/20 of a mile sounds weird. So 3 and 17/20 of a mile, still kind of a weird measurement, but whatever. So almost 4 miles, right? Oh, and yeah, label it miles. Pause, go into class kick. Got another one for you. Okay, well, I lied. I actually had 3 for you. And I did provide both answers here. I've got improper and proper fractions, so you can read my chicken scratch handwriting. I wrote in my own book. Don't do that, by the way. Okay, so this first one, we'll work A together. Again, I like to make them improper before I do anything. So, 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3, 23/4. Well, this one's already good, so 7/8. We can leave it like that. I just think there's less thinking when I do it this way. Common denominator, hopefully you can all see, is going to be 8ths. This one's already out of 8ths, so we'll leave it. 4 goes into 8 2 times, so here's my, there we go. 4 goes into 8 2 times. 2 times 23 is 46. And then it's going to be out of 8ths. Oh, for the love. Alright, I feel bad for you guys. I have the worst handwriting ever. But anyway, 46 plus 7 is 53/8. Okay? And if you like, again, you can make it improper, 6 and 5, or make it proper, there's 6 and 5/8. Not necessary with me. You do, however, why did I write 58? It should be 53. There we go. But anyway, if you can be reduced, you should reduce it no matter what, even if it is left improper, but you don't have to, so in this case, because you can't reduce it. Okay, let me get this out of the way real quick here. Okay, so there's that one. Let's take a look at B together, shall we? So, let's see here. We're going to make them improper first. So, we have 5 times 9 is 45, so 47, right? 47/9. And 3 times 6 is 18, so 19/6. Now you have to find a common denominator. I believe both these guys go into 18, right? Both go into 18. If you weren't sure, you know, I can help you find that or whatever. 9 goes in there 2 times, right? 2 times 47 is 94. And 6 goes in there 3 times 19 is 50. Oops, there we go. Is 57. Now we have a common denominator of 18ths, and 94 minus 57 is 37. Now, as long as it can't be reduced, you're good to go there, which they can't be. Otherwise, if you want to make it proper, it's 2 and 1/18, but you don't need to do that. So we've gotten that out of the way. Time for C. And so, first thing we have to do is make these guys improper. So, we know that 2 times 12 is 24, and then 3 more is 27/12. And 7/9 doesn't need to be changed. It's already a regular fraction. Now, the least common denominator here, 12 and 9. I'm going to put those in the cake just to kind of demonstrate how I found 36. 12 and 9 go in there. We know we can take out a 3. They're not even, so I can't do 2, so 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now that least common denominator is found by multiplying around the corner. 3 times 4 times 3 is 36. So that's how I found my 36 for my least common denominator. And you know, something else that they both go into, you can use it. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you reduce in the end. I'm not super picky about that sort of thing. So anyway, 12 goes into 36 3 times. 3 times 27 is 81. If you don't believe me, you can check it. 9 goes in there 4 times. 4 times 7 is 28. Right, so there we go. We're going to use that 36. 81 minus 28 is 53. And again, that can't be reduced, so if you want to, you can make it proper again. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm not going to leave it right there. So there you go.